games back there.
Yeah, I know. We do love our board games. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, everyone.
Yes, if you notice my collection, we do love doing that with friends, getting together and playing some board games. That never gets old for me. I don't know. I love them.
What's your favorite one?
Rumming Cube.
I've never played that.
It's it's a fun numbers game. Like it makes you think. You get numbers and you can put them in different sequences.
Mm-hmm.
And you break them up and move things around, and you're strategizing to try to be able to play your pieces. So it's fun. It can get competitive. I like it a lot.
Awesome. Have you ever played Catan?
I have. We just actually got it, and I'm obsessed. We play it, and it takes hours and hours to play.
Yeah, it's a long game. We have to pick our battles when we play that game because we just play forever. So,
is that your favorite board game?
I think so. Yeah, it seems to be the only one that we go back to consistently. Brenda likes to play like Scrabble and all these things, and I'm more like math analytical, and I Scrabble words. I'm just like, nah, just go play with somebody else.
I'm the same way. I'm like, nope, give me something I can strategize, and yeah, that's me.
Awesome. Well, before we get started, one thing I wanted to do, if people are watching, I think I would love it. We would both love it if you check in with us. Just say hi. Let us know how you're doing today, maybe where you're from. I think that lets us engage with you a little more, and it also kind of boosts the Facebook algorithm, so it shows up in more people's feeds. So the more engagement we get, the more you like us, comment, the better off, and the more we can kind of share this information with people. So we want to talk about a lot of good stuff today. Kind of carrying over to what we talked about last week about consistency and changing behaviors and good habits. We want to, we're always talking about good eating habits, but we're going to talk about good movement habits and how to incorporate that. But before we get started, I wanted to ask you some questions, Rachael, because you mentioned something that I think was super cool. I heard you say over the past 2 years, you have lost something like 40 pounds or something like that. So I was hoping that's incredible. And it's something that, I don't have that perspective because I've been like working out my whole life, college athlete and all that. But I was hoping you could share some of that with us and maybe kind of what that experience has been like, how you started, what inspired you to start, what worked, what didn't work, and just anything you want to elaborate on.
Definitely. So yes, like I said, it's been over 2 years of my journey right now. And I mean, I've always been active. I played volleyball. I played sports through junior high, softball, everything. But for some reason, it was honestly, when I narrowed it down, it's nutrition, because no matter what I did, I just kept staying pretty big. I wasn't huge, but I definitely wasn't, moving to my best ability. And I was, I definitely had a little bit more than what I wanted and lacked energy. So I tried everything out there. I tried different diets that would work, fall off, and it was all short, quick fixes. So nothing would really stick. And then about almost like 2 years ago, I found Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, so martial arts training.
Nice.
So that was something, because that's something I like to do. I like to mix it up. I don't like to just find one workout routine and stick to it. I like to find something different and keep changing it. I like to try different things. So this challenge came up, and part of doing the challenge was also eating paleo. So it was a different mix to start martial arts training and doing paleo, which in the beginning I had the same thing. I was really weak, and then, my body was adjusting. But man, once I stuck with it, it just stayed. Like now, whatever I eat, now whatever I do, I can feel my body. Like it's like a well tuned up car. Like when you're running your max, you want to stay your best, So now what I've done is now I can't eat certain things, my body reacts. So it's just been, like I said, 2 years of doing this and trying different things to finally find something that works for me. So like I said, I started with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I did that challenge and then continued with the way of eating to this day. And now what I did is I started, like I said, I did that challenge for a couple months. And then it was a little intense because it was a little bit more than what I wanted.
Yeah.
It was fun, getting on the mat and rolling with people for a couple hours. But after a couple months of doing that, I decided, okay, I want to try something different. So I joined CrossFit. And I was doing CrossFit, which is high intensity. Again, that was something I really, really, really enjoyed doing, but it did get very expensive active, and it was a little intense where I started getting a lot of tension headaches through my neck here.
Yeah.
So then, so I decided to tone it back a little bit and started at-home exercises. So it's amazing because my boyfriend's a massage therapist and he's super big on working out. So I got him involved with me. Every morning we'd get up and we'd, get outside, we'd challenge each other, we'd grab our kettlebells, we get our yoga mats, and we do different exercises every single day. We'd sometimes go on YouTube and we would Google different like exercises or look up different exercises we wanted to do. And so we did that for a few months, just trying different things every morning, from our own little boot camps to maybe one morning yoga to next morning just going on a run or taking our dog on a walk. So for the last like year and a half, we've been just, I did it every single day. So it went from being, I was active in high school, working out, trying Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, brought in nutrition, found something that really stuck, and then just kept being more and more active. And then just over time, things just started happening. I started losing weight, I started getting more energy. And it's honestly incredible because like the other day we were walking across the street and then the little hand started blinking. I was like 5, 4. And all of a sudden me and my boyfriend were like, let's go. We sprinted and we're like, it was like just exciting to be like, we have the ability and the energy to go do this. So it's just little things that you realize the more and more you stay active, the more and more you keep changing what you're realizing you're able to do, or like taking the stairs when you see an escalator, stuff like that. So just over the last couple of years, just being able to really narrow down like nutrition and keep, doing exercise every single day has allowed me to continuously keep losing weight, transform my body. And I'm at the point now where I'm not looking to lose any more weight. I'm just looking to tone up. So but it took time. It took some time to get to the point, but I did lose it at least 40 to 45 pounds over the last 2.5 years.
Wow. That is incredible. That's so awesome. Yeah. So some things that stood out for me is that you've always been active, but it was the nutrition that really catapulted the change. And once you started changing your nutrition, you started to feel a lot better. And then all of a sudden going to the gym and doing those things, you could suddenly do more. Like you could go do CrossFit, you could go do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you could run across the street and try to beat the 5-second clock. And it's a lot easier. I think that's so important because like once you start making good decisions, it's a lot easier for everything else to kind of happen. Once that nutritional aspect is taken care of. So tell me what was like the average before you had this nutritional change? What would be like the average day, your average eating day look like?
Oh man. Getting up, having toast, orange juice, coffee with lots and lots of creamer. On my toast, I'd either put like honey or jam. And then for like lunch, pasta, usually pasta or some kind of sandwich. That was like a big go-to, was to eat a big bowl of pasta. And then for dinner, not to mention I'm a big snacker. So between meals, I would eat, whatever I could get my hands on in the house. So that could be anything from nuts to Cheez-Its to chips to whatever I had in the fridge at the time. And then for dinner, that would be the same thing, like either pasta or a sandwich or, I wasn't very big on veggies. And that was something I didn't eat a lot of, but I did eat a lot of bread and pastas.
Yeah. And that sounds like very little protein too. Oh,
yeah. I wasn't big on meat either. I for some reason, it was like the thing that really got me going was the pasta and the bread. I wasn't on it. It tastes good.
It tastes wonderful. There's no doubt about it. And what does the average day look like now, like eating when you wake up?
Oh my goodness. So usually I start the morning with like eggs and some kind of like spinach or some kind of veggie. Or if I don't have any eggs on me, I'll go ahead and I'll just eat leftovers from dinner. Typically a lunch is a grilled chicken breast with a salad or some kind of sweet potato on the side. And then dinner, depending on if I got a really, really good workout in for the day, I'll typically eat, like last night I had a taco salad. So I just love veggies now. I'm at the point now, if I eat a meal that doesn't have veggies, I feel like I'm missing something. Like your body is like, give me veggies. Like I need it. So typically I just revolves around a vegetable and protein, and just I mean, and it's great. I don't have to measure it either. I just eat till I'm full, which I love. I'm not just like, okay, let me do a small portion of this, small portion of that. I eat tons of veggies and a good serving size of protein. So
yeah. And the way you eat, you said the things you used to try from like a diet standpoint, did you ever get into the whole counting calories thing and do all that stuff?
I did all that. I did all that. Oh, I mean, I went to the point where I was feeling so deprived because I would completely cut off food groups, or I would go extreme where I would eat such little calories that I was starving throughout the day. I mean, I tried every fad out there.
Yeah, I think that's one of I call it the old paradigms, is that people were counting calories and starving. Like they'll go on a diet. My mom is always saying, "I'm going to go on a diet. I'm going to restrict everything," but she's counting really poor quality calories.
Right.
Calories that aren't super nutrient dense, and they still have a lot of sugar in them, a lot of carbohydrates that aren't really good for them, and it's just poor quality food. So I mean, if you kind of shift it, and then those foods, obviously, because they have low nutritional profile, your body says, well, we need to keep eating because we don't have the nutrition that we want. So you have this like really struggle period where your body's starving, it wants more food, but you're saying that no, you can't eat anymore, and it's just really tough. So then like once that 2-week, 3-week period, whatever diet period is over, they go right back to the old foods.
Yeah.
And they gain back weight, and they gain back even more than they did before. And it's really frustrating. It's like happening over and over and over again. And it's like just a simple shift in where we're getting our calories can make all the difference in the world. So I'm super excited that you shared that. That's really cool.
Yeah, honestly, it blows my mind when I do look back at the photos, and I was like, I can't believe how far, because you sometimes don't realize it. But when I look at my photos, like I shared I think it was last month where I did the Transformational Tuesday where I put up my photos, the images were so powerful to be like, wow, that's where I was, where I thought I was healthy. I know I could have been better. I didn't have as much energy, but wow, look at me now and how I feel today. It's
incredible. That's incredible. When I got into this, I was similar in that I was working out all the time. I would work, as a college athlete, and I was very much, trying to look as good as I could. I would work out like 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. And I would always just load my smoothies up with lots of honey and milk. And that was kind of how I did most of my foods. And when I switched to more of a whole food paleo type diet, where I was getting consistent protein and more veggies and like starchy carbohydrates, I went from like 205 to probably like 190, and I got significantly stronger, which was interesting. Like all my numbers in the gym went up like probably 50%. It was radical. And I was like, whoa, what is going on? And what was happening was I was losing body fat and really building and maintaining muscle mass, because I think that's what people really get mixed up with, is they get so caught up on the number on the scale, and they're not paying so much attention to this ratio between body fat and muscle mass. So sometimes people will only lose 5 pounds, but they might lose like 3 dress sizes or 4 dress sizes or something like that, because the muscle mass is being improved upon, but the body fat is being lessened. So, and as we age, it's so important that we keep our strength. It's really important.
Well, I have to tell you, when I remember when I would go to the gym, I'd be like, oh, I can't lift weights because I don't want to get bulky. And like the idea, if you lift weights, like a girl being bulky, no way, I'm not going to do that. I got to take no way. I just got to be on the treadmill. That's all I got to do is treadmill. So man, the whole shift to now, that's what I'm doing now. I joined a gym and I'm weightlifting 4 or 5 days a week. It's the idea of not knowing and seeing that, oh my God, if I'm going to lift weights, I'm going to be Tarzan and be huge. It's not
Yeah, I hear that a lot. Like women are afraid of getting bulky. And I just want to say, like, when you see a bulky, really strong woman, right? Like the amount of work that they're doing, it's like they're working out for like 4 or 5 hours a day. They're a professional fitness lifter, and they're eating so much food. Like you're so far away from, you don't have to worry about anything about getting bulky. It's just simple as eating well, being consistent with the principles that we talk about, being consistent with protein and good quality veggies and good fats, drinking lots of water, sleeping, lifting some weights, and like you will thrive. You will be lean and strong and feel good. And you don't have to, do these old conventional things that we think we have to do to burn fat, like go run a marathon or go ride a bike for 3 hours or go get an elliptical forever. There's this misunderstanding that cardio is what's going to get you lean. And it's really not. It's more about lifting weights and eating well and doing all the good lifestyle principles. It's so important. And it's funny, I mentioned last week, I was talking about Henry, and I was saying Henry did not get to the results he got by running marathons. And he came out and said, that's so funny. I was like thinking about running a marathon, and like I said, I'm not going to do it, because yeah, I mean, since we're talking about movement, I kind of want to address that, because people do get in the idea that I'm going to lose weight, I'm going to start running, so I have to think about that just for a second. We have a person who is overweight, admittedly overweight themselves, and they're going to go run. So when they're running, they're putting a lot of pounding and pressure on their joints and their ankles and their knees and their hips and their back, and they get really hurt. And you can see it in their face sometimes, like pretty much all the time when they're running down the street. They have this like, and it doesn't look like it feels good. The thoughts in their head are like, I hate doing this. I hate doing this. I hate doing this. And you go to the marathons, and like at the very front, you've got your elite athletes who like, that's what they do for their life. And then everyone else behind them is like, I don't want to run this. It's like, no, but they're doing it because they feel like they have to. And they have a belief that exercise should be a struggle, right? And it should not be a struggle. You should never leave the gym or whatever you're doing, whatever session you're doing, whether it's walking or doing something in your living room or whatever. You should never leave that situation in more pain or feeling like you have less energy. You should be doing things that you love to do, that make you feel better, that decrease your pain. That way, your posture is good. That way, your muscles are strong, your frame is solid, and you can live a long, happy life. But most importantly, it's something that you can be consistent with. Right. And going back to what we were talking about last week, consistency is key. It's about changing these habits, these behaviors. It's not about like this one thing that you do this one time, this magic pill, and all of a sudden everything's going to work out great. It's about consistency repeated over and over again. And we talk a lot about food quality and focusing on food quality as opposed to food quantity, because if you take care of the food quality, the quantity takes care of itself. And it's really the same way with movement. If you're focusing on quality movement that you love to do, that energizes you, that doesn't hurt you, as opposed to just getting in the miles, then the same thing happens. You can build a solid foundation and then keep ramping up from there, as opposed to like go real hard without paying attention to what exactly you're doing, Right. So
that is true. Because when I go to the gym, when I'm going 5 days a week, I'll see people who are in there just like pumping it super, super hard. And then all of a sudden they're not there for a few days. Where are they?
Yeah. So, New Year's came and went.
Okay, bye. So yes, it is good to be mindful of, okay, do what works for you and make it fun. Like that's the biggest thing. Everyone thinks that exercise has to be daunting. It has to be a chore, which it doesn't. Exercise can look like anything you want it to be.
Yeah, someone said last week during our talk, I hate going to the gym. I hate it. And it was strong. It was like everything was in lower caps and the Kate was in strong. Yes. And I totally get it. I mean, when you think about it, people are conditioned to believe that the only place that they can do exercise or whatever it's called, fitness, is at the gym. And this is kind of what the conventional gym models are selling us, right? You have to pay a membership, you have to go somewhere, and typically it takes like 15 to 30 minutes to get there. And then you have to like put on your shoes, get dressed, and like, finally you make it to the treadmill. All right. And then like, that's what you're supposed to do next, is get on the treadmill, watch TV for a while. Then there's all these machines around there, right? You're supposed to go to this machine to work this one muscle, and then go to this machine to work this other muscle. And then you're supposed to do that for like 3 sets of 10 and do like shoulders and back day, chest and leg day, whatever. And you get back on the treadmill to cool down, and you go home. And while you're at the gym, of course, there's mirrors everywhere. There's mirrors everywhere. So like everyone's looking at each other. Are you in shape? Are you in better shape than me? Am I in better shape than you? Do I look good? I don't know. So it's just really a world of like comparison and judgment, I feel like, is going on in the conventional gym. And it's no wonder people don't feel comfortable there. It's no wonder there's an all caps, I hate going to the gym. I get it. I get it. And meanwhile, it's like 3 hours later, and then you come home and you're like, okay, I guess I got to do that every day to get results. And the truth is like, you don't. You simply don't. And I know you talked about like working out at home a lot and doing stuff with like kettlebells and I'm the same way. I have a home gym. I do most of my workouts here. I post a lot of my warm-ups here so people can try on just, they don't have anything more than like bands and dumbbells. And they take no more than like 10 to 15 minutes. They're really, really simple. It's so easy, but it's just about being consistent.
I love your videos, and they're so dynamic. Like when you're doing the bear crawl, like you're doing your full body. You're not just isolated to one part. So they're great for anyone that wants to start their day as a little pickup. It might be the only workout you do. It's important. It might be the only thing you do, but it's great to do some movement. So I think those are helpful. And I know I personally love doing them every morning. So thank you so much for posting those videos.
Oh yeah, you're welcome. Yeah. So for anybody who hasn't seen them, like I'm committed to posting 5 workouts a week. So that's how many times I work out a week. I work five times a week. And I always do these little warm-ups where it gets my body stable. It wakes up these muscles. It lights up my core, my glutes, my shoulders, all those small little muscles around the joints that help keep me stable. So what I decided to do was start recording these things. And they're typically, maybe 3 to 5 different movements. And I do them back to back to back. And then I do maybe 3 to 5 rounds. And I want to put them up there because people are always looking for an easy place to start. And I'm telling you, like, this is it. This is really it. I'm a doctor of physical therapy. I've coached like professional athletes, young children. I've coached the average mom and dads, and I've coached like the elderly people. And I have a very good understanding of what it takes to what I call stand up straight in a world that sits, and stay mobile and keep doing all the things you want to do forever. And until it's your time to go, but I've seen way too many people become adapted to what I call a flexion-based society where we're always sitting, right? We're always sitting, our heads are moving forward, our shoulders are going forward, our backs are getting rounded. It's really distorting our body and adapting it into a negative way. And then this is a lot of the reason why we have a lot of pain, right? Our head translates forward. It's why we have a lot of headaches. Our shoulders start internally rotating, so we get impingement and start tearing rotator cuffs. Same thing happens in the back. Same thing happens in the knees. Same thing happens in the ankles, right? So these movements are designed to open you up and really get you stable in all the right areas. And they're so simple. You can do them in such a short period of time. And like I said, all you need are just bands and dumbbells, and just a matter of being consistent,
I love it. I love it. They're great. Like you said, you don't need a lot of equipment. They're super easy just to do anywhere, in your living room, your garage, anywhere.
Yeah, they're super great. So
I want to do a shout out. I was able to finally see the names of the people we have on. We have Sarah from Wisconsin. Good morning, Sarah.
Good morning, Sarah.
Sandy on here, and then Martha's coming through. She's having trouble.
Martha's been working out lately. She's been doing Pilates, hitting it hard.
I was going to say, it's pretty impressive. I love her videos that she's showing every single day of her different exercises. That's pretty cool. She's really picking up. So it's awesome to incorporate exercise into her nutrition. So very.
Yeah, and I also just want to encourage people to keep doing that. Like, how you shared your story. It is amazing and it is so inspiring. And so many people hear that story and they go, oh, I too was 40 pounds overweight, and I was eating that stuff too. And maybe I'm going to think about what I'm eating now and try something different. And maybe something will happen, and they will try it and they will start going and moving more and they will get great results. But it was the story that did it. It wasn't the information, it wasn't me like telling you or anybody telling you like, oh, you should eat this and this and this. It's not that. What gets people moving is the story because they can relate to it. So the more people in this group tell their story and say, this is what it was like before I did anything, this was like during, and this is what it was like after. I mean, people resonate with that on such a deep level. And also you get something from that by sharing your story. You feel empowered when you can express it and other people hear it and you feel like, oh gosh, I'm making a contribution, and then there's like a global community tipping point where I was like, we're doing it, Right. Then it's fun. So, so how about some more tips on ways to maybe good movement principles or how to get more movement in your daily life and also your work life? So I'll kind of say some things and you can chime in on whatever you think. So one thing I mentioned earlier was focusing on movement quality. Just like we're focusing on food quality, but to me, movement quality starts like the moment I get out of bed. right? So when I get out of bed, I can roll over and put my feet on the ground and kind of lean over on one foot and get up, or I can balance my feet, really get them set and lean forward and stand up. It's a simple habit, right? But a lot of people, especially as I start favoring things, right? Like my right leg's stronger, so I'm gonna always lean on my right side and then get up. And what happens with something simple like that is you'll get a shift in your spine eventually, or you'll get a shift in your shoulders eventually. And people will carry this as what leads to pain, right? So every time you're getting up from a chair, I would encourage people to just really do the best you can, like really get your feet set, get your stuff balanced on the right and left, lean forward and stand up. And the same goes when we're simply standing in line for the groceries, right? When the checkout line, for instance, like a lot of people will lean on one side, and when we're walking, we'll just kind of walk real loosey goosey, right, and kind of walk forward like that, So first, before we get into the quality of like what to do with exercise, think about how you're moving day in and day out. How are you standing? Are you slouching? Are you leaning to one side? Are you favoring something? Really pay attention to that and be mindful of it. Even when you're doing something as simple as like doing the dishes or doing the chores around the house, make it a little game. Like, what's the best way I could pick this thing up? You know what I mean? And the more you practice that, the more it'll become a habit. You'll start moving better. And in and of itself, it becomes the exercise, right?
That is true. I'm not going to lie. I've actually been someplace where I'll be like in line. I'll be like, okay, let me get some leg lifts in while I wait in line here. Mm-hmm. Let me get stretches while I'm waiting for, my name to be called or something. Yeah. You can make something fun wherever you are and always fit something.
Yeah, for sure. The other thing I want to encourage people to do with their movements, and you'll see this with a lot of the movements I'm putting on the videos, is to use movements that have multiple joints involved. Right? Now your brain, when you're moving out in space in like the real world, you're never like just moving one joint, right? You're never like just moving this. If you were going to pick something up, you'd be moving your hips and your knees. You'd be stabilizing your back, your core, your ankles will be moving. But in like the conventional gym, we're conditioned to just move this one movement, right? And when we get in the habit of doing that, our brain sort of forgets how to move. Like it literally like doesn't understand and compute like, oh, this is like when this muscle contracts, this muscle's supposed to contract, and like this over here is supposed to stabilize. Like it stops doing it and we start moving really poorly. Right. So you can fix all this by doing things like squatting, pushing, pulling, right? Carrying, like simple things like that. And you can go a long, long way. Again, this is like a lot of what I do in those videos, but just understand those principles. You're going to be a lot better off when you're doing that, and you'll start breathing a lot harder because you're getting a lot more muscles involved. Right.
Sandy just wrote a message. She asked she would like some chair exercises would be great. I'm at work for 8 to 10 hours per day. I do break for a walk, but quick. Sorry, I just lost half the screen. I do break for a walk, but let me get it. Sorry, it's a little smush in there. I quickie non-exercise look at my exercise would be great to know. Okay, so she's looking for some chair exercises because she's sitting in a chair 8 to 10 hours per day.
Perfect. Yeah. So we actually wrote an entire program on this. It's called the Sitting Solution. You can go to sittingsolution.com, and you can also go to YouTube Sitting Solution, and you'll see a lot of exercises there. And also did a presentation on this at Paleo FX a few years ago. But like, for instance, something simple that you can do in the chair, right? So let's take that person who's at the office and they're crouched over a computer all day, right? So something really simple they can do is squeeze their shoulders up and hold for 5 seconds. Squeeze, 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 and then pinch your shoulders together for 5 seconds. Squeeze, 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 and then relax.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah. And then do that. Yeah, it kind of loosens you up, right? And then do that like 5 times, right? Yeah. So what happens there is these muscles back here, like I said, because we're living in that flexion-based society, you can think of my hand as the head, right? And we're always kind of tilting it forward, like looking on our screens, looking on our phones, right? Look at my wrist right here. Like if I was going to do that, like if I was holding a bowling ball right here, it would make these muscles work really hard, right? Just to hold the bowling ball. And that's what these muscles in our back are doing, just to hold our head up, right? So what we have to do is align ourselves, get our neck in a better position. But when we when we contract our muscles like that, it's like squeeze, 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 squeeze. We're kind of rinsing all the dry blood, all the dry tissue in there, getting new oxygen, red blood cells in there, and it wakes it up, right? It relieves a lot of that tension. You can do your own sort of massage in that way if you just actively involve those muscles. So another thing I would highly suggest that people, like, here's another thing you can do if you're in a chair all day, right? Just stand up, sit down, stand up, sit down, right? And just do that maybe every 30 minutes, 10 times.
Yeah.
And that way you get some blood flowing in your legs, you know? And that way, and this is such a big deal because we know that people who sit more than 6 hours a day, their risk for heart disease starts going up because they start reducing their production of an enzyme called lipoprotein lipase, which clears the bloodstream of sugar, right, or fat. So when we stop doing that, we start accumulating a lot of fat, triglycerides go up. It's really important to start moving consistently and getting blood flow in there. Another thing I would highly suggest everyone do is set a timer for about 45 minutes, and every 45 minutes get up and move for a period of 5 minutes. Just move. You can get up and out of a chair. You can do a lot of the exercises on sittingsolution.com and on YouTube. And when you do that, like, it's one of the best things you can do, just incorporating consistent movement throughout the day as opposed to sitting still all day. So we have this belief that, like, oh, I'll just sit in my office all day, and I'll sit on the way to in my car going to work, and I'll sit on the way home, and I'll come home and I'll sit and I'll watch TV, and I'll sit when I eat dinner, and then I'll go to the gym for an hour, and then everything will be good. And you can't offset 23 hours of like stagnation with 1 hour of movement. It's more important that you incorporate movement throughout the day. So for people who are at an office desk, you know, set a timer every 30 to 45 minutes, move for a period of 5 minutes. If nothing else, just walk or get up and down from your chair. Drink lots of water, so you have to go to the restroom a lot. That's really another good thing to do. And you'll radically reduce your risk for any of these diseases, but you're also, what you probably want is to, like, burn fat a lot easier. And that's the way to do it, you know?
So 2 tips I also saw that someone recommends when you're working in an office is fill your water container halfway full. So it encourages you to get up more often to refill your water. And then they also said there you go. Another tip was schedule walking meetings. So instead of meeting like a companion or a coworker to sit down and discuss something, is take a walk, discuss what you're going to discuss, walking around the office, you know, around the block, wherever you have you can walk and discuss your meeting instead of sitting down is another good tip.
Yeah, that's one I had too, is always do walking meetings. It's so good. And you'll notice you're more creative. I feel like I'm more creative and conversational when I'm walking and moving.
I agree. When you get the fresh air and you have different things that are triggering different ideas in your mind, you're outside. For me, I'm happy when I'm outside. So when I see the sun and the trees, I definitely am feeling more creative and more open to definitely have a better conversation than if I'm sitting in a room with 4 walls. Yeah,
for sure. And another good thing is to, if you can, ask for a standing desk at your office. And if you don't even have a standing desk, sometimes you can put things on top of another, like different stands or different boxes or something. If you have a laptop, put it up there. And what I like to do is spend half my time sitting and half my time standing. Same thing though, like if you're going to stand, you know, try to stand with quality. I did a video called it's also called How to Stand Up Straight in the World of Sits. It's like the art of standing or something, but how to create stability when you're standing and have your feet directly under your hips, your toes pointed forward. You know, a lot of people stand with one foot kind of pointed out, maybe one foot over here and real loose, and their knees are kind of internally rotating. So it's important that you create stability, you know, screw your feet in the ground, get your glutes engaged, get your shoulders in a good position. It's kind of hard to explain in the video, but you'll see the other videos where I kind of walk you through it. But that's super important. Also, like, what's that?
Have you heard of the sitting on a yoga ball too? Have you tried that, or what's your?
Yeah. I think it's good, but I think people can also screw it up. You know, because some people are sitting on a yoga ball, but they're still slouching. You know, so if you're sitting on a yoga ball, that's good if you're doing it right, which is kind of sitting on your sit bones, having a slight lordosis in your low back, slight curve. You know, so you're not overarching, but you're trying to just be tall. Just be as tall as you can on the yoga ball, and you're good. But it becomes real problematic if you're just slouching all the time. You know, but yeah, the yoga balls are great. What else do I have here?
Really quick.
Go ahead.
Exercise with us when we did the the shoulders up and back. She said it feels great. So that's a good start. I'm happy to hear that.
Simple. Yeah. No need for ibuprofen today. Yeah. And another thing you can mix that with. This will be like the routine of the day, right? So you do 5 times up and down, and then you take your hands behind your head, and you go up like this.
Oh yeah.
Take your elbows to the ceiling, and then get your elbows real close, like right here, not there. So
Okay.
up. Yep.
That feels good in the back.
Yeah. So go as far back as you can, like squeeze, and then back. Yep. So an easy routine is 5 of those, and then 5 of these, and then just do that 3 times. That'll take you about maybe 2 minutes at the most, and then go for a walk to get some water, go to the restroom, come back, do that every 45 minutes, and maybe every 20 minutes, stand up and sit down 10 times. Perfect. Might just save your life.
Now, have you taken a habit and made a habit? Like for a while, for like a month straight, I was challenging myself that every time I would go to the restroom, I would have to do 10 jumping jacks, or I would do 10. So that was another way I incorporated more movement. Is every time I go, it's like, all right, here come my 10 jumping jacks.
So the bouncing and moving is really, really good because it loosens up a lot of that tension and it gets a lot of blood flowing in a really simple way. Jumping jacks works great. Like standing up and just shaking. I know it kind of sounds weird, but like shaking a lot is really good for loosening up a lot of the tension in the body and getting blood flow. Brenda and I have one of those mini trampolines that we go out on the balcony when we're working, and we just jump straight for like 2 minutes, and it's the same concept. Just getting that bouncing movement in your body is so good. So yeah, and you can if your boss is like, you can't do that, just be like, let me talk to your boss's boss and let's get a trampoline in here and let's make this place fun. So I'm happy. So I'm more productive. Right. I like my job. Please. Thank you. Yeah. But things are changing in workspaces because people are becoming more aware that the environment of just sitting at a desk in front of in a cubicle all day is not really good for humans. We're supposed to be out in nature moving. So if you just make a request and put that out there, they probably will make it happy for you. You know, that you can make the workspace a lot easier. And if nothing else, just go to that presentation I did for Paleo FX and just have your boss's boss watch that and be like, let's see if we can make the changes in here. And that should help. That should help a lot. But in general, I mean, you want to spend as little time sitting as you can and get up on your feet, whether that's doing a standing desk or, you know, just walking or something like that. It's going to radically change things. So
definitely. We have 2 more people that joined in. Julian, good morning, guys. Thanks for tuning in with us.
All right. This is exciting. That's good. Some other simple things, you know, parking far away is another good way to get more walking in, going grocery shopping. Taking the stairs as often as you can, I think, is a great thing. Unless you live like 50 flights of stairs, maybe that's a little too much. But you know, just 3 flights, 4 flights, that's perfect. Yeah. And then just daily walks. I mean, I can't stress enough if you can't start anywhere, just start with a daily walk, an AM walk and a PM walk, and you know, do that unplugged. You know, where you're just watching light. You know, watching the sun, watching nature, listening to things, breathing fresh air. That is one of the best things you can do. And when you're walking, like I said, walk with as much quality as you can. You know, really be as tall as you can and not slouch and not slap your feet on the ground, but just walk gently and be consistent with it. And again, this all comes back to consistency and making good habits for yourself. It's so important.
Definitely. We had Mary Beth join in too. She wrote, I joined in late. She can go back later and watch. All these will be archived under videos. But thank you guys for tuning in with us.
Yes. Are there any more questions? Well, I think there were a couple of questions, right?
We had a few, 2 questions emailed to us. And the first one is from Alex. He said, I am 71 years old, female, who is a great fan of Chad's Native Path Collagen. I have it in the morning in organic bone broth with the clarified butter and MCT oil. I'm starting strength training and toning at the gym. Does this collagen help with building muscles? I use it twice a day. I'm looking forward to live videos. It's always very informative. Thank you, Alex. We're glad you enjoy these.
That's a great question. So collagen is it builds strength in your tensile tissue. So like your tendons, your ligaments, the things that keep your joints together and strong, which is what your muscle belly pulls on, right? So it's important that before you start strengthening your muscles and trying to get those stronger, that you have the foundational stuff together, the things that hold you together. So that's what collagen does, is hold that together. It's not the best for strengthening the muscle belly because it's not necessarily a complete protein for that. You're wanting what we're talking about is in whole real food, eggs and chicken and fish and beef and things like that. That's where you're going to get a full profile amino acid, but those foods don't have collagen, right? So it's what I do after my workouts is I always have a collagen supplement. I mix it with the native nutrients, and that's how I keep my tissue really strong. And then after that, about 15 to 30 minutes after that, I'll have a big meal, where I'm having lots of protein. Like today I had 6 eggs and yeah, that's kind of normal. Yeah. And then I'll have, some chicken later on and probably some beef for dinner. So that's how I maintain the muscle strength. But the collagen is there with the intention of strengthening the tensile tissue, right? The tendons, ligaments, and things like that.
Perfect. Do you mix it in with your water, or how do you drink it?
Just with water, native nutrients, and collagen together. And I find that it tastes amazing. It tastes really good. Yeah.
Good. And then we have another question from Marcella. I would like some tips for traveling. I drink Chad's lemon drink every morning with a scoop of Native Path collagen. Not always possible when traveling and staying in hotels or traveling overseas. Any suggestions for substitute for the lemon drink? I hardly get sick when I stick with the morning routine.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Awesome. Yeah. The morning routine, the morning routine of just the lemon juice and the salt is super awesome for boosting your immune system and kind of clearing out the lymphatic system. It's really, really good. So I think the more consistent people are with that, the better they tend to feel. When I'm traveling, typically the day when I travel, I don't typically eat a lot of food, especially if I'm flying. For me, like just the stress of being in the airport and going through security and getting on the plane and who knows what kind of radiation is happening in there. I find for me personally that when my body is kind of in that stressful state, it doesn't absorb food very well, So it's almost like I wait till I get there and then I have a meal, Yeah. Brenda's a little different. She likes to carry food with her. So she typically takes things like some nuts, like a little bag of nuts. And we like to get a lot of that, like Epic bars, beef jerky, things like that. So we have protein. And then typically she'll bring in some like apples, something like something that you can carry with you that won't go bad, right? Apples and I think that's the biggest one. So so beef, apples, nuts. The danger with the nuts though is I feel like people can go crazy on nuts and have like too many nuts, and all of a sudden digestion doesn't work too well, and it's just very dense in calories. So that's kind of what we do if we're traveling by plane. When I get somewhere, what I typically do is try to find a restaurant that I agree with. So something simple is like Chipotle. You can pretty much find a Chipotle anywhere. Like I went to a Chipotle last night, and I did like a low carb paleo type meal, keto type meal. I just got a bowl with lettuce and beef, and actually I got barbacoa last night, and then some pico, and then some onions and peppers, and then some guacamole, and that was it. So something simple like that. You can pretty much go anywhere in any restaurant and order meat and veggies, and you'll be good. It's as simple as that. And other than that, I don't worry too much about the morning drink. Like if I don't have lemon, what I will always try to find is salt. So I'm a huge believer that we're not getting near enough salt. We're not getting enough quality salt. So every time I drink water, if I'm traveling or not, I always put a little pinch of salt in my water. I like taking glass bottles like this with me. Yeah, that's kind of my tips. Do you have anything?
I was going to definitely recommend that. I know some people do hard-boiled eggs, but again, that depends on how long of a trip you have, and if you're going international, and that might not sit that well. But definitely some, like you said, fruit. I do beef jerky is a great one. A little bit of nuts. But I'm the same way. If I'm sitting in a plane for a long period of time, I don't want a big meal. Like I definitely don't eat before I get on a plane. I do a little bit of snacks once I'm on and I'm settled in. But when you're sitting there for a long period of time, you don't want food just sitting in your stomach.
Right.
I don't enjoy that. But with the pink Himalayan salt, I do that with a little bit of water. That's something you can easily bring with you, and take with you. And usually you can find lemon somewhere. You can squeeze some lemon in there. That's another good tip. Is just a little bit of lemon, pink Himalayan salt. That's a good fix.
Yeah, exactly. I think just stay hydrated, take some salt with you, and wherever you go, just keep thinking like meat and vegetables. I mean, we did a 3-week trip to Italy like 3 years ago, and we did it. I mean, it's like the bread capital of the world, right? And we did fine. We ate really clean the whole time, and we felt great, you know. So it's just a matter of just asking for it too, you know, and just putting yourself in a good position. But if you're staying in any hotel, I mean, there's something around there that has meat and vegetables, you know.
Exactly. And then Sandy came up with another question. She goes, I have a question. Can you take too much turmeric? I take the Native Path pills, 1 pill twice per day, but also really enjoy the golden milk at night.
I wouldn't worry too much about turmeric, unless you're on some blood thinners, you know. Actually, I wouldn't. It's really krill that you would have to worry about with that. With turmeric, it's pretty much a safe spice. I wouldn't worry too much about turmeric. The only thing I would watch out for is if you're having like any reactions. You know, if your skin's getting itchy or irritating in any way, that's a good indication that you're having too much of anything. But yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about turmeric. And if you're taking 1 capsule in the morning, 1 capsule in the afternoon, plus the golden milk drink, I think that's just fine. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, that concludes all the questions we have, but we also want to discuss something that we want to invite everyone in the group to participate in is our big challenge that we want to do. And I think the more I thought about it, that we should divide it into 2 challenges, because we are going to have, and we want everyone to get involved, is transition challenge to see the biggest transformation of everyone in the group. And we'll have, I think what we'll do is we'll do one for existing members who already been in the challenge, and one for new members. That way everyone can still, because I know we've had members who are on this challenge, I've been doing it for about a year, that have lost, you know, some people 75, 100, 150 pounds. So what we're doing is we're going to have you guys share your stories, your posts, and then we decided April 1st, right, Chad?
April 1st, yeah.
First, we're going to pick 2 winners, and we are going to have a grand prize, which I will be announcing that for each winner. So it's going to be very exciting. But if you want to elaborate any more on that, that'd be great.
Well, yeah, like what I said earlier, it's stories that really inspire people. And, you know, it feels good to share your story, and you can radically transform someone else's life by just sharing your story and doing it in your authentic way. You know, and we're humans that when we hear the words "once upon a time," our ears kind of perk up, and people wonder what's happening, and possibility starts sparking up in their world. You know, they think they too can transform their life, and that's what we're trying to do, is really catalyze this group and this community, and keep taking it to higher levels where we're all experiencing this together, and we're kind of moving away from this old paradigm of, you know, count your calories and grains are good for you, and carbs are the fuel source that you need, over more towards like a whole real food diet that we thrive on, you know. So yeah, staying consistent with that. Take a before picture today. Let us, you know, track your weight, tell your story, and then submit it on you know, come April 1st, and it'll be a good prize for you.
Definitely. And we're going to have the community help vote on the winner, so you guys will be getting involved as well. For people that you've seen that inspired you, that you saw the biggest transformation in. So we're looking forward to it. I will definitely post more information on it. So thank you, everybody, for joining us today.
Yes, guys, thank you so much. If you have any questions, you know, if you're watching this later this evening or anything, just leave them here. We'd love to answer anything we can. So thank you guys so much.
All right, guys, enjoy your Wednesday.
Okay, bye-bye.